Retirement is often seen as the moment of life in which you can finally enjoy your free time, enjoy your grandchildren without a care in the world. But the truth is, if you're not prepared, retirement can be full of surprises. So today, I'm sharing 4 painful retirement truths that you need to face head-on, no matter if right now you're in your 20s, your 40s, or you're close to retirement. By the end of this video, you'll not only know the truth, but also how to navigate these challenges. My name is Rick, your favorite investor, and now let's go right to the first painful retirement truth. Our friends Sophia and James are both 64 and they're going to retire soon. They have the same amount of money saved, spend more or less the same amount of money for their living expenses, but only Sophia is looking forward to retiring. She is confident that she has enough money to sustain herself in retirement and she can't wait to get started. James, on the other hand, is not so confident. He just realized that in a few years he's not going to work for a salary anymore, and overcome with worry, he started saving aggressively, learning about pension tax planning and how to optimize his investments. Even though he's made good progress, he's still asking himself so many questions like, do I have enough savings? Will I be able to live off them? What's going to happen with inflation? And is there going to be a new market crash right after I retire? All of these questions and this uncertainty are making it very hard for James to imagine leaving the security of his job and enjoying his well-deserved free time. And James is only one of thousands and thousands of people. I'm sure that if you're close to retirement, at some point you've asked yourself the same questions. But why is Sophia instead not worried? The reason is that Sophia will get a defined benefit pension. One of these pensions that on retirement is going to pay her a guaranteed inflation-protected income for the rest of her life. Let's rewind the clock back to the good old days. Back when you worked for a company for 30 or 40 years and at the end of it all, they handed you a golden handshake in the form of a defined benefit pension. These pensions guaranteed retirees a specific income for life, calculated based on their salary and years of service. In the mid-20th century, defined benefit pensions were the standard. Companies funded these plans and managed the investment risk. But by the 1980s, the tide started to turn. The cost of maintaining these pensions skyrocketed due to several factors like longer life expectancy, market volatility, and global competition. In other words, people were living longer, which meant companies had to pay out pensions for decades, companies struggled to manage the investment risks that came with funding pensions, and businesses started looking for ways to cut costs to stay competitive, which meant cutting pensions. This is when the 401k plan was introduced in 1978. Initially, it was meant as a supplement to pensions, not a replacement. But businesses quickly realized that 401ks shifted the responsibility and the risk from employers to employees. It was like saying, all right, we'll contribute a little, but remember that from now on, it's your job and responsibility to save for retirement. By the 1990s, defined benefit pensions were disappearing faster and faster, and today they're mostly reserved for public sector workers or a lucky few in the private sector. Meanwhile, 401ks have become the new standard, putting you in charge of managing your retirement savings. Some people actually prefer this approach because it gives you the option to choose how much you save and how your money is invested, and more flexibility around when and how you take your money out. But here is the painful truth. Most people aren't prepared for this responsibility. Saving, investing, and planning for retirement is now up to you. But the average American is woefully underfunded. In fact, studies show that many people reach retirement with less than they need to cover even basic expenses. The takeaway, if you're still hoping for a pension, it's time to wake up. The defined benefit pension is gone and it's not coming back. It's on you to make your retirement savings a priority starting now. Fund your 401k, max it out every year, and use additional retirement accounts that give you tax benefits like the Roth IRA or Roth Individual Retirement Account. With great power comes great responsibility, and having to take care of your own investments for a retirement that will come in decades from now is not an easy thing. Not only you're going to have to be disciplined and invest every month, not only you're going to have to cut your expenses in a society that leaves little space for savings, but you're also going to face that painful retirement truth number 2, which is you'll spend more in retirement than you think. The comforting lie we tell ourselves about retirement is, once I retire, I'll spend less money. Sounds logical, right? No commuting, no fancy work clothes, no Starbucks runs to survive your 9 to 5. It's easy to assume your expenses will shrink. But the cold, hard truth is, you'll probably spend more in retirement than you ever imagined. The biggest reason for this has to do with inflation, and in particular with the fact that we are not able to actually comprehend how much inflation will hit us over the years. Yes, we can take the average inflation value of 3%, project our current living expenses into the future, and here you go, your future expenses after inflation. But that is not granted. Just as stock market performance, the past is not a guarantee for the future. Inflation in the future can speed up quite impressively. And adding to this, the average inflation is calculated based on the Consumer Price Index, CPI, which measures the average change in prices paid by consumers for a basket of goods and services over time. But your way of spending might be different from others, and all of the different goods suffer a different inflation. So maybe you spend most of your money on food, and food can grow with a much higher inflation than the average 3%. Add this to the fact that medicine and healthcare are evolving, and therefore we are living longer, and you find yourself in a situation that you can't really estimate how long your savings are going to have to last. And let's not forget, retirement gives you something you didn't have before: time. And time is expensive. You're finally free to do all the things that you've been dreaming about. Traveling, dining out, picking up hobbies, and above all, something you can't help doing even if you don't have much money: spoiling the grandkids. But everything comes with a price tag. According to Fidelity, the average retired couple in the US will spend over $300,000 on healthcare during retirement. And that's just for the basics: Medicare premiums, co-pays, prescriptions. If you need long-term care, as they always used to say in the movie Donnie Brasco, forget about it. Plus you get sneaky costs like home repairs and maintenance that you postpone during your working years, taxes on social security, retirement account withdrawals, helping out adult children financially. I mean, it all adds up. So what you need to do for sure about this is creating a realistic retirement budget. Think conservatively. Always add a safety margin to all of your calculations. It never hurts to have more money than you need, but it always hurts to have less. Be honest about your lifestyle expectations, factor in healthcare and inflation, and build an emergency fund for those hidden bills. As you can see, there is a lot we can't control. Rising inflation, possible market crashes, wrong investments. We spend way too much energy stressing over things we can't control, especially when it comes to retirement. And this is the painful truth number 3. You focus on what you can't control. Let me paint you a picture. You're sitting on your couch, 2 years from retirement, watching the nightly news, and the headline screams, "Stock market crashes 500 points." Suddenly, your stomach sinks and you start panicking about retirement savings. I don't know about you, but I certainly wasn't celebrating during the COVID crash in 2022. But here's the thing. You can't control the stock market. You can't predict when the next recession will hit or when interest rates will rise. And don't get me wrong, not thinking about these things because you can't control them doesn't make them disappear. Market crashes and corrections are always gonna happen, and inflation and taxes are a sure thing. That's why in my channel I always try to give a long-term view on what I think is going to happen with the stock market, but I always say that nobody really knows what's going to happen. So I would rather focus your attention on the things that you can actually control and help you learn to accept the things that you can't. Instead of obsessing over market crashes, focus on creating a solid cash flow plan for retirement. Ask yourself important questions like, how much do I need to cover my essential expenses? What income sources can I count on, like social security, pensions, if you're lucky, or rental income? How can I bridge the gap with withdrawals from my investments? Knowing your cash flow is like having a financial GPS. It will help you stay on course no matter what chaos is happening in the markets. Here's another thing you can control: your level of diversification. Spread your investments across different asset classes, sectors, and regions. When I talk about bonds, I always get the comments saying that bonds are useless because equities give a higher return in the long term. And while it's true that equities give a higher return, diversifying with bonds while getting closer to retirement allows you to protect your portfolio from strong downturns, which after retirement usually becomes more important than maximizing long-term gains. Then another form of cash flow is going to be real estate. First of which is your own house, which if it's paid is going to save you from having to pay a rent forever that is going to increase year over year. Other than this, try to focus on something completely within your control: your lifestyle. Ask yourself questions like, can I downsize to a smaller home if push comes to shove? Can I cut back on unnecessary spending? Can I find ways to live more frugally without sacrificing my quality of life? Or Can I sacrifice part of my free time for a part-time job after retirement if I have to? When you shift your focus from things you can't control, like market crashes, to things you can control, you'll feel more confident and less stressed. Retirement is all about being adaptable. The markets might dip, inflation might rise, but if you've planned your cash flow, diversified your investments, and adjusted your lifestyle, you'll be ready to handle any challenges. The last painful truth I want to talk to you about today is one of the strangest and most surprising challenges of retirement, because it's not something that you would think people would struggle with, but it affects far more people than you'd realize. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it's going to be my hardest challenge in retirement. I'm talking about learning how to spend your money. If you're sitting there thinking, spending money, oh, that's the easy part, just hold on. For people who spend decades saving and budgeting to build their retirement nest egg, the idea of dipping into that money can feel terrifying. Think about it. For 30, 40, or even 50 years, you've been laser focused on one thing: saving. You've trained yourself to avoid unnecessary expenses, say no to indulgences, and prioritize your future. Then retirement hits, and suddenly the rules of the game change. Now you're supposed to flip the script and start spending that money. I know it sounds very easy, but believe me, it's not. After years of taking care of your savings and investments, most people I talk to have a really hard time starting to enjoy the fruits of their efforts. For once, it's because saving and avoiding unnecessary expenses has become your lifestyle. If you did it like I do, thrilled by the idea to put aside as much as possible every month to investing in the stock market, you even enjoy it. It becomes like a game and you're damn good at it. For so long, saving money has been your measure of success. Each month you saved a little more and it felt like progress. But once you retire, those deposits turn into withdrawals, and that can feel like a failure, even though it's exactly what you've been saving for. It's a tough mental shift to accept that spending money doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're finally reaping the rewards of decades of hard work. And here's the real kicker. In many cases, you're even afraid of running out of money. What if I live longer than I planned? What if healthcare costs skyrocket? What if the market crashes again? Some retirees end up living like they're broke, not because they're really broke, but because they're scared of becoming broke. And that's no way to enjoy retirement. So this is what I think you should do to make this transition a little easier. First of all, instead of thinking of your savings as a pile of money that's slowly shrinking, think of it as a carefully planned cash flow. It's okay if it goes down. That's what it's supposed to do. Break it down into monthly paychecks that align with your budget and goals, and prioritize what matters. Focus your spending on the things that bring you joy and fulfillment, whether that's traveling, hobbies, or spoiling your grandkids. When your spending aligns with your values, it feels less like a loss and more like an investment in your happiness. And lastly, remember why you saved all that money in the first place: to enjoy your retirement, not to get to the end of your life with a full bank account that you've never used. To conclude this video, I want to give you an important message. We spend decades and decades of our life saving money, investing, and making sacrifices. While we're young and strong, we spend our entire lives working towards building wealth, investing, saving, and planning for the future. But on the way to a better financial future, we forget to invest in the one thing that truly matters: our health. You could have millions saved up for retirement, but if your body and mind aren't in a good shape, what's the point? As you plan for retirement, make sure to remember that it's not just about how much you have saved, but also how well you've been taking care of your body along the way. A healthy lifestyle today will pay off in the long run. And also, spend time with the people you love when you know you still have time. You can always delay material gratification to save money for the future, but don't delay the enjoyment of spending time with the people that matter to you. Thanks for watching, everyone, and remember, true retirement success comes when we balance both our financial health and our physical health. So stay fit, stay smart, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao!